This conference will now be recorded.
So good evening, everybody. Wendy, we're recording, just so you know.
That's probably a good thing.
So tonight's thing is the first time we're going to actually combine two different embroidery files. And you can take what I'm going to teach you tonight and apply this to any type of embroidery file. So the difference is how you treat it within your machines. Obviously, I know Viking and Pfaff, and what I don't know, you're going to look for these within your machine. I think, Janelle, you're the only one without a Viking. Oh, Wendy, what kind of machine do you have?
I have a 545.
Okay.
Actually, I have a new icon in the house, but let's not talk about that.
Okay, so what we're doing, so Janelle, you're the only one that this is going to be maybe different. It might not be. I'm going to show you what I'm looking for and how to scale, because when we merge these two files, we're going to start. I want you to load Christmas Village Hanger House 1 first, and then you're going to turn around and you're going to load the background quilting, which in this case, I suggested the Kimberbell Pebble 1. You can pick any one you want. We are doing the 7x7 Christmas Village Hanger block, and we need an 8x8 Kimberbell block. Because we're doing the 8x8 block, it's bigger than a 200x200 hoop. So I'm going to show you how to decrease that in size so that you don't have to do a really big hoop. Okay? And this will go for, I think every machine will do this scaling. Janelle, I think it will work on yours too. So if not, we're going to figure it out. So I'm going to try to go over and see if I don't lose you guys, because last time I did this, I lost you. Oops, wrong one. We want this one. So I'm going to go to my machine. Okay, so can you guys see that, or do I? That's about as far as my cord will go.
Can you turn your machine? You're kind of at an angle.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my machines that I'm loading up. My house 1 is here. So I'm going to hold and put that in there. I'm going to go back under my files, and my Kimberbell, I loaded into this file. So this is up to you guys. You just need to go wherever your Kimberbell quilting file is, and you're going to load it. So in my case, I'm going to load it second.
So you just load it right on top of it?
Yes, I do. So I'm still in the embroidery edit mode, which also applies in the Pfaff. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see, I don't know if you can see that. Oh, no, you can't. Can you see my hoop size right there? Very bottom, 200x200. That's the hoop I want, because all my 7x7s fit in there. My 8x8 Kimberbell is too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my last file. I'm going to drag it away. And I'm doing that so I can adjust it.
So you're dragging the pebble away?
Because remember how we talked about centering and all that before, Kathy?
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about it now. So now what I'm going to do, trying to see if you guys can see this. This is just not the right. So on mine, on my dials here, this one right here for me, can you see that, the square within a square within a square? If I hit the question mark at the top of my screen, right here, and then I come back and I push that, it tells me it's scale. That's what you want. The difference between scale and I can't remember what the other one's called. Scale is going to keep it in proportion. So if you,
on the icon, Karen,
it is a square with a square behind it, and there's a diagonal set of arrows in it. That is your scale. Hit your question mark and hit that, and it should say scale. Did it do that?
well, my question mark doesn't say anything.
Well, you have to hit the question mark first, and then you hit the scale.
Oh,
It will
touch
tell
the
you what it
scale
is.
design. Okay.
Okay, so that is the button you want. So now what I'm going to do, we know my 200 by 200 is too small for this file. And I can tell that. Mine's in, oh, I'm going to hit scale. If you look right here, you see how mine says it's 216 by 215.9? So that's in millimeters. So it's larger than 200, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my rotary dial here down so it goes below 200. Can you see my numbers changing right here?
Which dial did you use?
See, this is the dial right here,
Okay.
and I'm hitting down, and that is shrinking it proportionately. Okay, and I can tell over here what it's doing, and now it's at 198. I want to go just a couple more because it doesn't matter. So mine's about 192.
Okay.
So somewhere around 190 is what you want it. And that's good. That's what we want. So now I'm going to go back to this one right here. See, this one has arrows crisscrossed. And what that does is the positioning of your file. So what I want to do first, so this Kimberbell one is up here. I'm going to come back and I'm going to tag the house. Did you see how I did that?
No, do it again.
Okay, let me see if I can get this so you guys can see it. See how my squares like this? That's my background Kimberbell quilting. I don't want to pick that. That's why I offset this so I can get at the house. So here's the house. If you look right here, watch my finger. I'm tagging below where the house is. Did you see my box change? So now my house is tagged. Watch
No.
again, Kathy. So I'm gonna, my Kimberbell's tagged. Now I'm coming down. Do you see my finger? Watch the box right here change. You know, it changed. So now my house is all picked. So I'm gonna say, okay, whoops, it didn't do it right. Here's my box of my house. I'm gonna go back. See, I'm still on that center button right here. And I'm gonna hit the center of the dial. If I hit that dial, it's gonna make sure that that particular embroidery file is in the center of my hoop. Do you follow that?
Yes.
Okay, so now,
I've screwed something up, but I'll figure it out.
okay, well, let me show you the second part of this, which is important. So my Kimberbell file's up and moved, right? So I'm going to re-tag it so it's highlighted. If it's highlighted, I can adjust it. If it's not highlighted, I'm adjusting something else.
Okay.
So my Kimberbell file is highlighted. My button down here that says where it's positioning in the hoop is highlighted. And then I'm going to go back to the center dial. If I hit the center, watch what mine does. Did you see it move?
Yeah.
Now, those two files are right on top of each other. The center of the house is identical to the center of the quilting.
Okay.
That makes sense. Any questions there?
Not till I turn on the machine and try to do it.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this. When I untape it, we're going to go step by step. And I have a FOF here too, and I will go through that one too and do the exact same thing. Okay, so now what I want to show you is where it gets funny, because, you know, I'm gonna hit go. My embroidery edit's done. I'm ready to go. So I hit go. It does its little thing. Continue. It's ready for my hoop. And it's a 200 by 200. Now I want you to look over here. These are all my steps, right? So I loaded in the house first. So the house is number 1. The quilting design will be 2-1. So you see this right here, 1-1, 1-2. Those are the steps within the first embroidery file. Do you understand that part? Yes, okay. So when we do Sweet Pea, we always do the batting first, right? Because we're doing the batting first, let me see if I can move this back up. Because we're doing batting first, that number 1 is the stitch down, tack down for the batting. And we've talked about, we always like to take the batting out of the design because we don't want all that extra stuff in the seams. So you're going to run step 1.1 and either have your batting down and then trim it away, or run 1-1 twice, just like we've done on all the other Sweet Peas. Okay? Questions on that? Okay, so now this is where it gets funky. We are going to go over here where we're in the different files.
Baby, stop.
2-1.
Sit.
Right here is my 2-1. I'm going to hit it. And now there's another blue line going around. But this is my quilting file because it's 2.1. Do you follow that? I just went from one file to the second file. Yes, no, do you follow that? So what I'm doing here is I'm going to put down, do you see my block? I'm putting my background for my houses with this blue number 2.1. So 2.1 is going to stitch around past your batting because you've trimmed your batting to be the 7x7. We've already said that my block is going to be bigger. My quilting block is bigger because it's an 8x8. We've reduced, but it's still bigger than 7x7. So now what we're going to do is you run 2.1 and it gives you a guideline in which to put your backing, your background fabric down. So Wendy, in this case, you know how you don't like to cut things out and how they cut the houses out? We're not doing that at all this time. We're just gonna put that background down and we're gonna quilt right over it. Okay, so.
Well, we're gonna have to take this step by step because I'm doing this.
And this is being taped, so it's gonna be on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to watch it over and over and over, step by step. All right, so that was 2.1. 2.2 is actually putting the background, stitching it down to your stabilizer, okay? Follow me on this, okay?
What was 2.1?
I'm sorry?
What was 2.1?
Was the placement line for your background. 2.2 is the tack down line. Tack down. You put your background down and tack it down. It's not as hard as it sounds. Trust me, Wendy. When you do
I don't do those steps because I do a basting stitch. Okay, so 2.3 then is the quilting.
Okay, here's where we once again, this is why it gets weird. We are going to skip 2.3, 2.4 because it's doing other placement lines we don't need. So you need to keep track of this and write this one down. You do not need 2.3 and you do not need 2.4. 2.3 is tacking down another line. You see the line going around? You don't need that. 2.4 is another line going around. You don't need it. So just skip it. 2.5, see how mine turned all yellow? There's my background quilting. So 2.5 is the next step you want. So you're going 2.1, 2.2, 2.5. Hi, Jill. Okay, so now it's going to do its quilting. It's quilting over that whole background piece. Once that's done, it looks like this. Okay, I did mine in dark blue so you could see it on the camera. So here's your line for your piece, and then the quilting for your bubbles. And you're done with that quilting. So now you're going to go back to your Christmas Village hanger, block 1, and we're going to go back up to 1.2. 1.2 is what the placement line for your background. Now, I showed it so you could see what was going on. So it's in yellow here, which I'm not there. Can you see the yellow? And this is where we were deciding last time if we were going to cut this piece out because we don't need any of this inside here, but it's just easier to leave it alone. But I put it in there so I had an idea that all my quilting was covering what it needed to for my house.
I'll be back in a minute, Karen.
Okay. And then from there, you're going to go exactly like you do the rest of it. So 1.3, oh, oops, took the camera. 1.3 is one you're going to want to skip. That is the quilting built into this block. If you don't want to do what I just showed you, do this quilting. Okay? 1.4 is a placement line for your piece, which happens to be the chimney. So can you see the chimney? That's 1.4. And then you just go through like you would normally. It's just place the chimney, it's going to applique around the chimney, and then it's going to show the satin stitch on both sides of the chimney, and it's just going to keep going. So it's all regular stuff. There's nothing unusual about the rest of this block. It's a lot of stitching. There's a lot of fancy things going on. There's curly cues right here. That's all stitching. So it's basic there. The only difference you have with this and any other one is you're flipping back and forth between the two blocks. Okay? No reaction. If you have questions, you can come see me at the shop or call me. I'm going to unrecord at this point, and then we're going to talk this through, okay?
Well,